Welcome to the Barker Podcast Collection.
I suck, you suck, I suck at Call of Duty.
Welcome to the Not Pandemic Podcast. My name's Rob Howard, and today I'm joined by
Marcus Hurley.
And
Will.
And Pandemica.
absolutely, and Gremlins, because
Yes.
this is the second time we tried to do this, but
And counting.
just so you know how the sausages roll, or the sausage is made, however you want to talk about it. But anyway, yeah, I don't know what I'm
phrase was
talking
that?
about. I'll edit that out.
But now I quite want a sausage roll.
So, curious times we find ourselves in, where we didn't think we'd be doing a podcast for ages because, well, we thought we'd do one after the Rezzed festival that was going on this weekend, but that's been postponed till July now.
At least.
We thought that's going to be an awfully long time away, and with
Yep.
E3 not happening, and the fact that we've got an excess amount of time to play video games in, we thought we'd do a show now while we had some stuff to talk about. So, sorry it's been a while, but we're back now and doing more gaming than ever.
Hooray.
All the gaming.
Because it's so much nicer than living a life.
A real
Actually,
life, yeah.
you know what? I'm enjoying myself the most I've done in a long while.
Yeah, I have found like all the events around the apocalypse curiously entertaining. Just recently I read
Apart from the
that
death bit, right?
well, yeah, there is that. That's
You
a
know, the
bummer.
thousands of people dying. Yeah, fairly entertaining. Love
They're
it.
not really an event, though, is it?
It's
Perspective.
yeah.
You know, skinning
Yeah.
people and putting them on the front of your car, that's an event.
There
Yeah.
is that.
No,
I'm still disappointed that I haven't seen people embracing the apocalypse and wearing Mad Max style clothing.
I've seen a few bits of footage of people venturing outside in dinosaur outfits and stuff, which is all good fun.
Yeah.
Well, with hairdressers and barbers now closed, it is only, it's going to be not long before people start taking matters into their own hands. I know some friends of ours have already started shaving their heads and doing all sorts. I'm sure it won't be long before I start doing the same.
I've only been doing that for the last 15 years.
You're what's known as a prepper.
Clearly.
That's it. Yeah,
But I must admit, I knew shit got serious today when police turned up and told the people at the hand car wash up the road to shut the fuck down. You got to wonder who in the middle of a pandemic kind of goes, you know what I really need? I need a load of ropey Eastern Europeans to wash my car at close distance.
Yeah. Yeah, and coyotes have been seen on the streets of San Francisco now that all the people have disappeared.
Yeah, so only a few days, I reckon, till we see badgers wandering up Molsham Street in Chelmsford. Then we know the wildlife has reclaimed the planet.
Yeah, I see. Like I took my run down the main road, bit of Broomfield Road today, and I saw cars going past. I mean, I guess life
There's still
is
quite a lot of
going on
traffic.
to some
I mean,
extent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, we were out in Central Park, and there was still a lot of traffic heading round that whole roundabout system. More than we thought, because you'd think most people would be at home, definitely by now.
Yeah,
I can understand public transport for like nurses and everything else. Like, who are these people and where are they going?
yeah, I know. Well, like they did the big volunteer thing, didn't they? And they have asked people to sort of ferry supplies around to people.
These didn't look like the ferry and supply type. You know, an F-type Jag is not a ferry and supply type vehicle.
Yeah.
Maybe people are like, well, there's less traffic on the road. I'm going to take my sports car out.
Absolutely.
Anyhow,
I've been playing games.
yeah, I think we should get to the
probably
game
mention
bit.
that. Yeah, let's do that. Will, do you want to kick off then, since you're eager to unload?
Wow, my first platinum of the year was oddly presentient. I got my teeth properly into, before all this shit kicked off, the actually surprisingly enjoyable Days Gone. So I mentioned that I just started this when we last recorded.
Yeah.
But I kicked the crap out of that, had a thoroughly fun time at it, being Deacon St. John, riding round on my motorbike and shooting not zombies in the face. And it was kind of good fun. I do love an open world. I love a bit of character development. The story was bullshit, but the game was fun. If you want some time to kill, it's probably a reasonable price at the moment. Worth a punt. It is not Oscar worthy, but I enjoyed myself.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, no, it sounds like it's like one of those games. Like, you know, I think the thing is with most content these days, all that stuff that would be deemed as inessential is probably going to become a bit more essential as things just drop off.
Yeah, it's in the Assassin's Creed kind of world, not necessarily Odyssey, which I thought was an absolutely wonderful game, but most from the Assassin's Creed, the fairly standard Watch Dog-esque, the open world, go out, find stuff to do, there's little stories you discover, there's fun from the way the open world behaves, you know, a la Far Cry. I'm a sucker for that sort of game. Days Gone scratched an itch that hadn't been released in a while, so yeah, worth a punt.
That's cool. So I have been, I've signed up to a few services since I figured we'll be in for the long haul. The first of which was the Xbox Game Pass for Windows. Now, I tried this a few months back, but there wasn't really anything that I wanted to play on it, nor did I really have time to play anything on it.
That's changed.
Absolutely, yeah. So, I just State of Decay 2 is a zombie sort of survival game that came out a few, on the same theme, obviously. Yeah, it came out a couple of years ago, but was met with some fairly average reviews. The big feature of State of Decay 2, though, was co-op, which the first game was crying out for. It's one of those zombie survival games that is not as... It's got a lot of systems to it. You're managing a community rather than a specific player. So, they come and go, as they quite often do in these scenarios. But you're not really tied to one specific character. So once you're out of like the prologue of the game, you can join up with another player. And there's all these little missions to do, and you end up with a map that's kind of very similar to, I guess, any open world game. But you have wants and needs at the colony. You'll need to make sure that you can medicate your population. Make sure they've got
That's a bit of
food.
a base management style.
Yeah, manage your defences. So you kind of go off on these little errands, but all the time you've got all these sort of plates you're trying to spin. And so that makes having another player around takes the stress out of that immeasurably. And you can, you've got vehicles that you have to maintain as well. And vehicles are great at running over zombies, like easy peasy. However, the vehicles will only be able to withstand so much punishment. So you have to make sure that if you're going to play like that, you need to make sure that you've got, toolkits and stuff that you can repair all your vehicles with.
I'm just looking up the reviews. I seem to recall it was regarded as very, very buggy at the time on the original release. Would you say that's
oh yeah, definitely
sorted now?
Well, the thing is, what's quite funny about when you start off a game is that one of the very first things you have to do is to cure an NPC of this plague. So in this fiction, you can be cured of the zombie bite. However, one of the characters that you play in the game gets the zombie plague as well. So it isn't really communicated to you how rare this plague cure is. So as soon as you get the plague cure, what do? You cure your playable character. So we did this. And then we find out that the guy that we have to cure to progress the story and generate our next phase of missions, we cannot find any fucking cure to fucking cure him with. So we were buggering about for about an hour, and I said to John, who I was co-oping it with, I think we need to maybe restart this because we're hitting a brick wall. That there's nothing to do in this game other than traipse around in the dark, trying not to get murdered. So so what we did is we came out of the game and I started it off from my save. And as soon as I kicked the game off, all of these missions appeared. We've cured the guy of plague. Everything, it's all done.
2 years after release, it's still buggy.
Yeah, and they've just released this new version of it. So I'll just say, it's a game with a lot of potential, but with caveats. It's still a buggy piece of shit.
By the sound of it.
Yeah, so you just have to bear with it, really. But I still think the potential of the game outweighs those issues. The fact we were able to fix it, but you can find yourself easily navigating yourself into a gameplay cul-de-sac and wondering what the fuck's going on. So I'll just bear that in mind. But we've only played it once, but I expect we'll play it a bit more over the weekend.
Speaking of co-op games, you've only played once, Rob? Is there another one?
Well, there is, that because of the other service I joined, in cooperation with you, Will, was the EA Access and also PlayStation Plus, because you need that in order to be able to do multiplayer.
Indeed.
So, and the game in question was Way Out, which I've been admiring from afar for a long time, simply because I just thought, when in the hell am I ever going to get a chance to play a co-op only game? It's not an easy sell.
Yeah. Mm. It's something I rather enjoyed. It wasn't something that was even on my radar till you mentioned it, Rob, but I had a surprisingly good fun time, and I'm looking forward to picking it up again.
Yeah, it's basically a co-op story-based prison break game.
Controllable film.
Yeah, I mean, there is a lot of downtime. We were chatting away over the cutscenes here and there, but I think they've done a good job of. I think they're trying to create a sort of buddy relationship between the two guys you control. Mm. Which is
you get the choice from the start. Do I play a murderer or a con man? Which horrible ex-con dodgy character do I want to be? And then I've not seen a lot of redeeming features apart from a burning need from both to want to not be in prison where they've been rightfully sent. But the story's interesting. The co-op gameplay's kind of fun, having to work together. There were moments when I'm shouting, "No, Rob, just get to the fucking corner! No, don't press that one, just go to the fucking corner and hold down the fucking button!" So, because I'm very patient.
They have done a really good job of sort of transforming those cliche prison break moments from films into gameplay. So, like, there's one moment where the moment in question, where we're trying to pass an object between the cells. So one of you has to basically dig away behind the toilet using a number of sort of quick time events.
From the chisel we had to steal together earlier, or he distracted the guards while I went and nicked it, that style of thing.
Yeah. But so one of you will have to keep a lookout and maybe distract the guard, like if they're getting really close. And so there was a little bit of confusion there, and then like you have to sort of swap over and do the same thing again, so you both get to do the same
Rob,
stuff.
Just tell me when the fucking guard is coming. It's simple.
Yeah. No, it was really cool. I thought it worked really well. And there was another moment later on, I think, just before we left it, where you have to get up a shaft, and the only way to do it is to basically put your backs to one another and walk up in absolute coordination. But the thing is, it's very difficult to do because
it's like a little pendulum, isn't it? And you got to hit the button when the pendulum's at the bottom, and you've both got to do it at the same time. And if one gets ahead of the other, you end up falling down the shaft.
Yeah, so you have to.
And I'm
so
shit at these things.
Yeah, so you've got to kind of like keep up a rhythm, but also make sure that you're not going too much on autopilot, because then it goes wonky and one of you falls down. But we only had one slip up, I think, literally.
Yeah. It was amazing. Do you remember that feeling of just sheer, look at us, we're escaping, we're hardcore prison escapees, because we both managed to hit a button at the same time for a few goes in a row. I really felt like I'd achieved something. It was a really good feeling.
It's almost like saving the world by... Sorry, I just wanted to say that it's almost like saving the world by sitting on your arse
Yeah. And cheering.
which is what we're doing at the moment. But yeah, sorry, Marcus.
No, I was just saying, I love stuff like that in games that give you a sense of, it's like you feel empowered, but you've got no right to be. You feel as though you've actually gone through and achieved the thing that your character has done, but all you've done is just press a QTE bit or
I'll be honest, the way the screens are set up in that game, Marcus, though, it's both of us are on the same screen, so we both see the same thing.
I've seen like the first couple of minutes of it going. I've wanted to play it. There's a part where one of you is walking along really early on. I think one of you is walking along a gangway. You can see the other player down there taking part in their section, and I was like, that's really well done.
You can do it locally as well. You can do it local co-op.
Yeah, it's couch co-op.
I definitely recommend it for you guys. Like, you'd have an absolute blast playing that.
I think so
too. I think I might have it on the Xbox. I have to go back through and check.
Did you get your Xbox working again?
Yes, I did.
Hey!
I know.
Got a discount at least.
Well, it's still in there, but
it's on EA Access. So if you do EA Access, you must have PlayStation Plus because you're playing Monster Hunter.
It doesn't need Plus to be able to play on couch.
Oh no, you wouldn't know.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't even need that. But EA Access, it was like £4, I think, for a month, or 20 quid for a year. Or something
I bought the year.
But so I think I got it as a Games with Gold on the Xbox, and I've still got my Game Pass Ultimate running. So
I don't know how long the game it is, but if you and Sue's fancy doing something different, I would definitely recommend that.
I forgot about that. Yeah, I'll have to have a look.
I think it's about 5 or 6 hours. So
awesome. Yeah,
it's
Drunk
not
and even
a massively long game.
She'll definitely pick the murderer.
Yeah, he's cool. He's kind of like a Robert Redford type. I'm quite enjoying it.
Yeah. So, on the subject of services, I thought I would try something different. I subscribed to PS Now, which surprised me, because obviously you've got all this, the whole Xbox streaming service, and you've got Google competing with their Stadia and all of that stuff, and I basically, I fancied a crack at Control, and I saw it was £25 or something like that.
Game of the year.
It was all right. But I saw it was PS Now Control was one of the games that's available. So you pay your subscription, you could do all sorts of stuff. And I saw that also that I could play Shadow of the Tomb Raider Control, lots of older games like Fallout New Vegas that I could play on my PS4, and there's some PS2 stuff, and there's all sorts of fun stuff on there. And I kind of thought I'll pick up the free trial, and then I kind of spasmed a bit and accidentally bought a year, but it was kind of fun. But it's meant, I love the idea because you can stream. Oh, excuse me. You can stream. My internet connection is not brilliant here. You can stream and it's tolerable. A little bit of screen tear. The responsiveness is good. But while you're streaming, you can also download in the background, which probably caused the screen tear, to be fair. But it meant I could literally fire up Control. And for the hour or so I first played it, while it's downloading in the background, I can decide if I like it, and then it's there and downloaded, and I can play the downloaded version, be having PS Plus, transfer my save game across locally, shift from streamed version to local version, and play the game. Now, Control to me was a little bit too bleak, a little bit too much hard work for where my mind is right now. I will probably revisit it. But I finished, so I paused on that, and I thought, I'll just try a different game. Started streaming Uncharted Lost Legacy, had a game on that, downloaded it locally. I'll probably crack on with that. I can go for a Tomb Raider after that and whatever other games come in. And I think it's £50 a year, which is essentially the cost of one brand new out game. But the library's huge, the streaming's tolerable, and I haven't tried it yet with some of the older games where I think it's going to be less struggle on the download side of things. If I'm playing an old PS3 or PS2 game, I would expect it to stream better. But yeah, I'm quite impressed with the service. There's a 7-day free trial. Yeah, it's very interesting to me. My internet connection isn't brilliant, but the other thing for me, which is quite handy, my PlayStation's down in the shed, but I can just run it on my PC if I want to. I can run it on my laptop over a half-decent Wi-Fi connection, and I can stream whatever games I'm playing on that as well. So that's pretty cool.
So it's you're finding it really playable then, and you're streaming.
It's entirely tolerable. Yeah, it's entirely tolerable on the streaming. The input lag is essentially zero, not noticeable. The screen tear's a little bit annoying, but it's only on really busy scenes. Even on my copper-based internet connection, it's genuinely interesting.
So why I don't understand why people have such a problem with Stadia, like, or how that much they bungled that. Then, if this is like
I think because
completely
Stadia
viable
doesn't.
option.
Well, Stadia doesn't have hundreds of games ready to rock on a single subscription. Stadia, you have to buy the game and then stream the fucker. The Stadia is the wrong proposition. I think Stadia, if they'd given you a streaming service with dozens of games, even for a single subscription, like a Netflix setup, people might be up for that. And that's what, Xbox and PlayStation are doing. But Stadia very much is, oh, look, you can pay for this service, and then you can pay 60 quid for this game, and we'll stream it to you, and you won't even own a physical copy or have a local copy downloaded to play it on. We'll just stream it to you, and frankly, if your connection's a bit balked, that's your problem. Crack on.
See, I find it really weird, and I don't, there's no reason why I should know this information, but they've been paying publishers extreme amounts of money for them to put their games on Stadia. And, like, why wouldn't they just say, like, I guess they need to cough up even more to get them to just let them have them on the service, for subscribers.
So far as I can tell, Stadia's got maybe 2 dozen games on it. I don't know if the subscription service, the one where you just pay £8 a month and have games is even available yet. It's more, you can have Assassin's Creed. It's almost like the Switch tax, but without the benefits of the portability of the Switch to be able to take it everywhere. It's just the Switch tax where you pay additional for it compared to on other formats, but you'll get really bad screen tear because you've got a bad Wi-Fi connection outside of your house where you could just have a console.
Yeah. I think the only way that another, outside of our main destinations, the only way that another destination is going to be viable is if they can really offer like a Netflix-like subscription.
Yeah.
Where you come here, you pay whatever amount,
X amount,
and this is what you get. Otherwise, why would people move away? Like, I mean, I'm still struggling with that. I still don't have a viable reason to put Stadia on anywhere,
That's it. Well, PlayStation now, if I was travelling away on business, I could take my laptop, if I had a decent internet connection, laptop and a PlayStation controller, and I could stream PlayStation games and play them. Right?
Yeah.
That's the thing you want, really. And that is, essentially, if you're paying web only £50 a year to stream, like, dozens of PS4 games and a load of back catalogue stuff as well. That's the thing you want to pay your Netflix money for. And at £50 a year, that's what you are. That's Netflix money.
Yeah.
Cheaper,
It's almost like Stadia probably would have been better if it operated the same way, but as a streaming conduit for your PC.
It's almost like Google sorry, go on.
Yeah, I'm saying, like, you sign up to it, much like PlayStation Now. You sign up to it, you connect your PC to, because everyone's on Google pretty much these days, and then wherever you go, you can play your games, almost like Steam, but without having to download everything. But then again, you kind of say, what's the point of Steam?
Yeah. But again, it's the streaming problem. It's the lack of catalogue.
It's worked itself into a grey area that, I don't know.
It's
if the technology was right and it worked perfectly, and it had streaming tech akin to Netflix, where even if you had a pretty rough internet connection, you wouldn't notice it because it still looked good. And this is speaking from experience. My old internet connection up until the end of it wasn't great. It was a basic ASL line. But I was really happy with Netflix. Everything else broke, but Netflix was always really good. If they managed to get their streaming service sorted to that level, I can kind of understand it. At least they could at least fight it. But if it's buggy and everything, you basically just, like you said, you give people no reason to move away from what they've got. And the whole point is to entice people to something different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, PlayStation go, well, you can just play your PlayStation games wherever. And you go, oh, you mean like Stadia, but with my PlayStation games. Cool. I'm going to do that.
Slight aside, but I got Disney Plus this week.
Ooh.
And I tell you what, I mean, there's not loads on there that I haven't seen. I mean, I went to America and watched all of The Mandalorian when that was out. Obviously, I had to. They are putting all of their stuff on there, and it's in Dolby Vision and Atmos as well.
What?
Like the audio codec. Now, I know we're under harsh times, they're saying they're
no
putting
punches.
they're saying, I know they're putting these caps on things, although interestingly, they're putting these caps on Europe, and a lot of people are reading that and going, it's affecting us. We are not in Europe anymore. So, apparently none of those restrictions apply to us in the UK. So that's all dependent on your ISP if you're not getting 4K.
Wow.
Yeah, so, but anyway, that's an aside. But yeah, Disney Plus, I have paid for a year of that up front, and I will continue to pay that because it gives me access to all of the Marvel, all of the Star Wars, and all of the Disney back catalogue at Dolby Vision 4K and Atmos. I don't have an Atmos rig. My friend John does, though. And I said to him today, I was like, dude, you were talking about content for Atmos. Netflix doesn't even have Dolby Atmos. If anyone needs an explanation of what that is, we're talking about where you have the speakers in the ceiling. So you have like down-firing audio. And it just gives you like the real like IMAX level of sound, like for home. And obviously to be able to deliver that to you, that's like an even bigger file that you're streaming. So, but anyway, I'm just talking about, because we're talking about services and why we pay for them. I just thought I'd roll that in there because that's something that is happening right now. And I think there's a value to having access to content for the price of, like, I mean, what is it? I paid 50 quid for a year. That's like that's the cost of 2 UHD Blu-rays. Yeah. And I'm getting access to all of that content. So I think that's a really good value proposition. So,
yeah. Speaking of access to content and pricing, I got to play the Final Fantasy demo for free.
Oh, yeah, okay, games. Yes, let's get back to that.
Of course, sorry, I've forgotten that it's been that long since we recorded.
I know.
yeah.
It's been almost out. Well, I've seen some news which made me kind of go, in which the delivery companies and all that are saying that they can't guarantee everyone's going to get their pre-order on the pre-order date, which I'm okay with because we're not going anywhere. As long as it gets here, sort of on or around the 10th of April, I'm fine. As long as it turns up, that's good.
Yeah.
But anyway, got to play a bit of the demo. It's a very pretty looking game.
Yeah, I had a quick crack at it. Realised it's probably not my cup of tea, but it's beautiful. It seems really strange because on the surface it does seem very like you can just hit. A lot of people have said you can just hit mash square or whatever, and you take out a lot of enemies and stuff like that. But it's a little complicated because you've got each character's kind of got their own gimmick. Like with the main character Cloud, you've got 2 modes. You've got your typical hacky slappy with the big sword, and then you've got what's called Punisher mode, where he switches stances and he's got much stronger attacks, a whole flurry of stuff, but he moves a lot slower. So he's got limited mobility, and you can also block as well, which is a nice touch. He can block, but I don't think a lot of the other characters can. But it's just because he's got this massive fucking boat oar of a sword. Why wouldn't you hide behind it? But I got to say, a lot of the visuals, it really was proper pulling on some nostalgia bits, because there are some bits that looked exactly the same as the old PlayStation, where it's a static frame and the 3D character runs down it like a certain shot. Now, for context, it's kind of like Resident Evil, where the old games were all, you walk into a room, it's rendered in a certain camera angle, and your character runs around it. That's pretty much how the game was. But in this, you kind of get shots and stuff, but then you realise it's not a cutscene, it's in-game, and you kind of get little goosebumps and go, oh, fuck, that's really nice. But I've not had a chance to try out the combat entirely. It does remind me a bit like Devil May Cry style, sort of, where you have to switch up bits and pieces. So you got Barrett, the black guy with the gun arm, and he's a long-range character, and he can take out objects up in the air and stuff. But I found little bits you can add together where if a character is just high enough, you can literally, as you're attacking, switch character back to Cloud, and he runs and hops off the gun arm and then starts attacking the opponent. So it depends how quickly you switch between, you can start chaining bits together, and you start to build up some damage.
It's a bit strange because you kind of have to stagger some opponents and bosses. Some opponents have got like an extra bar under them where you have to sort of do enough damage to them to stagger them, and then you can kind of get past their armor, and then you start doing the actual damage to them. And some are weaker to magic and stuff, but this is all kind of similar to the original game where some characters were just tougher to physical hits. Yeah, I don't know. I gotta say, I'm looking forward to it. It's a bit strange. I mean, when I first picked it up, I thought the camera was a bit sluggish.
Yeah.
I thought it was a bit slow. But
Takes a little
you have
getting used
options.
to.
You have options to speed up the sensitivity of it. And the moment I could move it around, I was like, okay, that's much better now. Don't know why they've chose it to that. Like, bump it up a notch, little bits and pieces and stuff. And I'm really looking forward to it. And it seems like it's gonna have some nice bit of depth. I'm gonna try it out in the because you get a chance to play it in sort of classic mode as well, where you can just use menus. Which will be quite interesting. So I've not given that a go yet. I've just done a couple of rounds. Was that available in the demo? I didn't really...
Yeah,
I think it is. I think you can play it as classic mode in the demo. You've got 2 options.
Cool.
So you get a chance to kind of do that, where the characters will run around themselves and do stuff, and you choose options on the menu. Which kind of makes it similar to the old turn-based style games. But yeah, no, the fight with the big scorpion thing at the end, that was tough. That was quite tough. But I'm looking forward to it. I want to play it more so that I'm better when the actual game comes out.
Yeah, now I've got the time. I might actually give that a look. Is that on PlayStation?
Yeah, it is. It's a little. I don't know. It looks really cool, but some parts I was a bit like maybe there might be more here. There might be more going on. But I had to remember that it was just literally them running into a reactor and trying to take it out. That's the mission you do. It's literally right at the start of the original game. So there wouldn't be a lot. I mean, originally in the original game, you literally go through a couple of screens and you're in there, and then you fight this boss and you run away from a timer to escape. And that's the opening part of the game. And they've expanded that so much more. But yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. But yeah, let me know what you think. I think that a lot of people have been slagging off the voice acting, which I find a bit strange, because I'm like, I don't really recall a voice acting thing being a snobbish thing for video games, you know. You've got the over-the-top Barrett, who was always over-the-top. He was basically influenced by Mr. T originally. So he's kind of like this big, gruff... fool. Yeah. And he literally, at the start of the game, goes, "Get down here, Merc." It's just like, you know, he starts preaching about the planet and stuff because he's an eco-terrorist.
Thing is, people have expectations, you know. If you don't mind me segueing slightly into something definitely. I've been playing. I mean,
segue away.
I've been playing The Outer Worlds, like, quite heavily. And you know how when Obsidian used to make, well, like when they, or when, you know, you've got these, there was like this sort of phase of games that were embracing that old Baldur's Gate way of delivering games, and you'd kind of be okay with that because you know, there's
like the Gauntlet and everything else, the kind of top down.
Well, you'd forgive it because you knew that like there would be a lot of reading, but you'd forgive that because you know that you would get like a really good story, and so you're willing to sort of overlook some of those sort of more archaic presentational elements. And I find myself with Outer Worlds like that. I feel like we're just on like another cusp of that, because like, I mean, even though they didn't build that in the Fallout way, I feel like they were so slavish, like, to try and reproduce that, like the way that the characters awkwardly animate so that their heads can be locked to the fucking screen, you know, and when they're delivering dialogue, it's almost comical, you know, and I find that I'm losing like immersion because it's just so comedy, you know, like, because so many of these games now have gone past that. I mean, even games of that type have moved away from that locked to the fucking skull NPC delivery system. And I think that's one of the things that's been sort of pulling me out of it. But, you know, I have got to a point, I mean, I found the game very easy. And I know, Will, you said about like that, you should.
Yeah, I tried that and I found it too hard.
But
I couldn't find the happy balance. It was either too easy or too hard. It was you play it on normal mode, and you don't really need to take advantage of any of the stuff. I played it on the supernova difficulty, and it's just like, holy shit, I'm going to get my ass handed to me. All my companions will die, and I can't reload a save game. It's just like middle ground. I want to play the hardcore mode, or hardcore-ish. I just don't want those punitive bits.
Yeah.
It's just not very bad. It's not very well balanced. I mean, I found myself like just cruising through the game for hours and hours. And then all of a sudden, it's like my field of view is literally covered in like these fucking dinosaurs just wanting to kill me. It's like, what the fuck? Because the problem is, I think I do love Obsidian. I love everything that they're about. But I feel like they've got a very primitive sort of application of RPG mechanics. I think they're a very old school. They've got very old school methods, and they're trying to apply that to a more slightly
I think the thing we do need to be careful of though is Fallout 3, Fallout 4 were big budget AAA games, and what Outer Worlds very much was a AA game. It was quite a low budget, quite a small team, done very tightly. Yeah. This wasn't Microsoft-owned development house with Microsoft money behind. This was a self-publishing software house that my expectations were still of a AAA game because it was Obsidian. So it's still a good game. Yeah, and because of the marketing suggested something else as well. But I still think it's very well written. I loved all the companions, very particularly the cleaning robot, bizarrely. Yeah. Well, I took a floor where I'm terrified of robots. So if I have him in my party, it gimps my stats. Yeah, constantly. Yeah, so I love little touches like that, but unfortunately, I can't. It's just the things. It's that you got the cleaning robot on your part, and it boosts itself up into the end and lands amongst all these bandits shouting, "Time to shine!" You gotta love that sort of shit. See, I haven't watched any of that. I might have to just take him out for a spin. Take one for the team. Yeah, I might do that actually on my next, because I'm just about to go and meet one of my character's parents or something. That's where I'm at. Yeah, that's where I'm at. If it gives you any idea. How far am I through then? Have I got lots left? Or it depends how completionist. Yeah, no. What left? You're well over halfway. Yeah, I think. If memory serves, right. I just kind of blitzed through it. I did kind of get to the point where I was like, I think I just want to play the next game in my catalogue. It's good enough that I need to finish this, but I'm not going to do all those side quests. No, well, I have been mopping up all the quests in each location. I would actually say you will enjoy the game more if you ignore some of those side quests. You don't need them to level up if you're not playing it on full bastard difficulty. Look at it and think, do I want to just progress the story? Let yourself do that and you may enjoy it a bit more. Yeah. There was one mission I really fluffed up just because I felt like I was in such a hurry to finish it. It was where you've got the two factions and you have to... there's one that you can form an alliance with, but only if you've been nice to one of the other characters. And in the end, I went to her and she went, "Oh no, you're an idiot. I'm not going to ally with you." So I was like, "Oh, yeah, she knows what you like." Sorry. Yeah, yeah, nice. Does anyone else have any other games to talk about? Because I've got one more up my sleeve.
Well, to be honest, I've only really been playing one main game because I've been at home. I thought, what's the game that takes the most amount of time?
Your marriage game.
All of life and existence and distills it down into
the game that you are happily married to.
A game that I feel as though I've paid a subscription to and I get beaten by regularly. Yeah, Monster Hunter World Iceborne. I'm totally its bitch still. Do you know what? I don't care. I'm not going to apologise for it. Fuck it. It's an awesome game. I love it. We have to organise these. We had to organise our recording around this game. Yeah, but to be fair, To be fair, when have you ever heard me say something as nerdy as that? Guys, I can't record. I have a special Siege quest.
To be fair, when have we ever been recording at 7:30 on a Friday evening?
True.
Well, yeah. These times they are a changing.
Oh my God, the developers at Monster Hunter World, those guys, I love them.
They've certainly saved you a couple of quid, haven't they? Yeah.
I've bought 2 games. I've bought 2 games from them, and they have put out probably about 4 games worth of monster content. They just keep. It must be selling a lot to pay these devs to actually keep creating new monsters and give them away for free, I should say. You don't pay anything for these. They just say there's a new developer video. We've introduced another new monster. This one has explosive fists.
Can people buy cosmetics?
Blah, 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 blah. I hope you'll enjoy it.
I don't have a problem with that, to be honest.
You can buy gestures and stuff at the PlayStation Store. That's what I'm saying. Those are the only paper bits. Or outfits.
I've come here for a gesture.
Exactly. Outfits for some of the characters. That's it. But the outfits are based on the events that have gone by. So when the events happen, a lot of the NPCs wear fancy costumes for Christmas, Halloween, or whatever. And
I still play an awful lot of Overwatch, and I thoroughly enjoy Overwatch, and I can't wait for Overwatch 2. Well, I can, I'm not that bothered. It's going to be the same game with some different missions in it, which actually doesn't interest me that much at all. But it's a great game, and the only cost there is for people that want to pay to buy the fancy outfits that come out. I don't feel the need. I just play enough games that I win them or earn enough coins in the game that I can buy the ones I want. It's easy. It's no cost.
Exactly. I mean, I don't think I've put as much effort into learning the meta of this game. I mean, I'm constantly reviewing the build I've got for my character. And then even with this Siege game, I'm like, holy shit, they just unlocked a new level of weapon mods and upgrades and stuff. So we have been farming this creature, and it's an old school D&D dragon. It's a red dragon, horns, wings. Compared to most other mental looking stuff in Monster Hunter, it's kind of, you initially would think it's a step down. Yeah, but God, it looks awesome. It has like arena blasting moves, and last time I was talking about this, it actually obliterated Rob from the internet. So that's how powerful this dragon is.
Was that Sue's doing that when I was kicked?
No. The PlayStations are in here.
Oh.
But it has like because there's you do a crossover event where you fight a behemoth from Final Fantasy, a big purple 4-legged thing, which when you beat it, it drops a meteor in the middle, and you need to go and run and hide behind one of a couple of comet rocks it summons down during the fight. And if you don't
just love your Japanese games, don't you, Marcus? This is it. The Japanese stuff is your bag.
I know, but Jesus Christ, this is beyond that. This is like there is a choral score as you're fighting this thing. It feels so hardcore. It's ridiculous. You feel like you're fighting for your life, and it's just like. But this feels like this is almost like Resident Evil Biohazard. It's like the Western thing done by Japanese. So you take away, there's no J-pop, there's none of that stuff. There is some singing at the end credits to remind you it's a Japanese game. And some of the characters are like, slightly anime, slightly not. And there's a random King Ghidorah reference, actually, before you go and fight it. There's a guy standing there and goes, we don't know what this thing looks like. For all we know, we're going to go and fight a 3-headed dragon that shoots lightning. And I just went, cute. But, this thing has a signature move, and I put it on the WhatsApp thing where you have to run and hide, and it obliterates the entire arena. And no matter how much defense points you have, or whatever, you get carted, which is basically like knocked out and taken back to camp. And if it happens 3 times in the quest is over. But if all 3 of you haven't managed to get to cover, you're all out, quest is over. Done. And this thing apparently originally they released it around Christmas, so I missed it first time round. But it's been going on, and they re-released it for now, sort of around Easter. So I knew there was only like a week or so left. So me and Suze have been farming the hell out of this quest. Bearing in mind, we'd already put over 400 hours into this game.
Sorry.
That's one of the coyotes. But
sorry, we're messing around with the video now.
I'll raise you.
No, it's cool. But yeah, bearing in mind that we'd already put at this point over 400 hours into this game, and this made us. We were at one point we were playing it till over 3 in the morning. We literally went, should we stop now? Yeah, it's probably midnight.
You did that. I remember you sent
3.
out the message. I basically got up at 5 o'clock the next morning, so there was a 2-hour window where we were asleep. Oh dear. Rob's got a BB-8 toy.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, model toy.
Yes.
Right. To be honest, there's plenty more I could talk about, but my fond wish, actually, particularly during this time of coronavirus and misery and self-isolation, is that we maybe just freeze it now and catch up again sooner than we usually do. How do we chaps feel about this?
Yeah.
I was going to mention Divinity 2, but I can talk about that.
Get further into it, mate.
That
speaking of someone who that was another one I finished.
Is there anything we can all jump on? Is there anything we
as
can
in
all
together?
Jump on?
As in maybe have a before we next record, the three of us?
Yeah.
Well, PlayStation Plus is the way. We've all got Plus, haven't we? I think there's certainly maybe.
Yeah.
And also, I've got Game Pass for Windows. I think
PlayStation. I don't think Marcus has a gaming PC, but the three of us all have the PlayStation set up. So I think that feels like the
no.
Oh yeah, let's do this. Let's do this, and we can have a three-way to discuss on the next recording. And some 3-player gaming.
Definitely. I'm sure we'll have more to talk about very soon. Thanks for listening to the Not Playing Podcast, part of the Not Listening Podcast Network, where you can also find the Not Watching Podcast, where we talk about movies and TV, and the Not Listening Podcast, where you can hear Adam and Co. talk about all kinds of nonsensical nonsense. You can email us at notplayingpodcast@gmail.com, or you can tweet at or follow us on Twitter at notplayingpod. You can find the show notes for all our shows at notlistening.co.uk. And if you like what you've heard here, please do leave us a review. Anyway, that's all for now. Until next time, see ya!
Bye!
I suck at Call of Duty.